All right, Shalom Israel. I'm standing here with my brother, the mighty Kashub the Danite, a great historian in Israel. I know y'all brothers, if you on Facebook, you're familiar with this brother. You see him all over the place with the history, man. He's on the front line standing up for Israel against all that Kemetic garbage, man. So introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been a part of the nation of Israel, how'd you come in, so forth and so on.
All right, how much time we got?
Listen, as much time as you need.
We're not in praise to the creator of heaven and earth. My mother, may she rest in peace, she was used as a utensil to bring me into this knowledge of being Israel back in December of 1982. The first congregation being a place which still locates in the Bronx of East Tremont called Kosheri. Went from there from 1982, 1990, went to a place called Benny Down in Brooklyn. 1992, went to a place called Shopping in Queens. Went to Shema in 1995. So that's the basic synopsis as far as that's concerned. Also, want to give a shout out, may he rest in peace, to my historian teacher, Chief Simeon Ben Yehuda from the old Benazar King. Much respect.
All praise to the Most High. Let me ask you a question. I'm putting you on a hot seat right now, man.
All right.
I'm putting you on a hot seat right now. I'm about to turn the flames up right now.
All right, bro.
So you Israelites, you know that your records were plagiarized from Kemet, man. You guys stole everything that you have from Kemet. Your laws and commandments come from the 42 negative confessions. You know, you guys stole everything, man. So why don't you brothers give Kemet the proper respect that they're due, because you stole everything from Egypt. You Israelites learned everything from Egypt. So speak on that.
All right, let's first of all understand something. When somebody says somebody stole something, you got to sit there and show the Egyptian record where the Egyptians stated these people came from the Levant and came into our territory and took something. Now, when you read the record of Manetho, he speaks about the people that the Greeks later on called the Hyksos, who came in and raided their temples. He stated that they burnt their temples and that they set up a king that they named Salatis over their own selves. Even in the Manetho record, speaking of the Hyksos, he doesn't speak about them stealing anything. The understanding of somebody coming into Egypt as the Hebrews and stealing something came from a guy named Sigmund Freud, who wrote a book called Moses and Monotheism. That was out in the 1950s. Now, if you go and you look at Tacitus, which was over 1,800 years before Sigmund Freud existed, he stated that the record of the Egyptians and the record of the Hebrews is different. The culture of the Egyptians and the culture of the Hebrews is different. The book of Psalms 114 says that the house of Israel came out of the land of Egypt from a people of strange language. The record of Merneptah of Dynasty 19 said Israel or Israel, the foreign people. So therefore, the Egyptian direct record, the Hebrew direct record, is not saying what these individuals who are neither Egyptian nor Hebrew, that is to say the Caucasian man, is trying to present to the people.
Right.
You're not going to find a Hebrew nor an Egyptian record stating what Sigmund Freud is stating what these so-called scholars are stating.
Right, so let me ask you a question, brother, because I see this a lot, man. You know, you Israelites claim that you were in Egypt, but we don't see no records in Egypt, you know. You guys claim that you exited Egypt during the time of Ramses II, you know, which was in the 18th dynasty. And when we look at the 18th dynasty, we don't see any records of any Israelites in Egypt. We don't see any records of any exodus. We don't see any records of any mass deaths in Egypt. You know, you guys say that there were plagues on Egypt like locusts and frogs, and you say that the firstborn of the Egyptians were killed. But when I'm looking in the 18th dynasty, I don't see that. So where is the records? This is a two-part question. Number one, I want to know, where is the records of the Israelite in that 18th dynasty during the time of Ramses II, like I see every year in that movie, The Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston? Where's the records on that? And also, if the Hebrews were in Egypt, what were they called? Because we don't see any records of any Hebrews in Egypt. Speak on that.
All right, I'm not trying to be funny or nothing. I'm going to have to answer the two-part question in the four-part statements.
That's okay.
All right. When you say we don't see, who is we that don't see? And what are we looking at? Because nobody is going to call the slaves or the foreigners or the foreign people or the strangers by the same name that the strangers call themselves. You understand? For instance, the name Navajo is the name that the European applied to the people who call themselves the Dene. In the language of the Dene, the word Navajo means thief. The European man called those people that. You understand? So it's called basically giving another people another name. That's basically what happened. So that's one thing, though, first off, let it be noted. Secondly, when somebody says we don't see something in the 18th dynasty, the Egyptian word for slave is Kemnu. That's one thing to let it be noted and understood. Now, you may have to look back into the 12th dynasty, you may have to look back into the 13th dynasty, and so forth and so on, but you do see that. Now, one of the things to be noted is that the Egyptians, and to quote one of the scholars, when you look at the record of Sir Alan Gardiner in his book Egypt of the Pharaohs, he stated in his book that the Asiatics were called the Amu by the Egyptians. The AAMU or the AMMU. Now these people who were called the Amu people didn't call themselves the Amu people. So that's one thing to let it be noted. So you have to know and not deal in television. You understand? For instance, not let me go way back. The people that we call the Egyptians, the Israelites called the people Mizraim. The same people were called the people of Magan by the people that we will call the Sumerians. You understand? The people that we call the Hebrews were called the Sagaz by the Sumerians. And the people that we would call the Hebrews were called the Kabiru inside the Amarna records. So we have to begin to know what is referred to as not so much it's basically saying what nation will call another nation. That's something that has to always be noted and brought out. Secondly, there is no Egyptian record that states that they did not have slaves. You see, if you look, for instance, as pointed out before, in what is called the Brooklyn Papyrus, you read about Senebtisi, that's S-E-N-E-B-T-I-S-I. You can read about her and Sobekotep the third of Dynasty 13, in which she spoke about her slaves, which was in the southern part of Egypt. You understand? So there are Egyptian records that speak about them having slaves. When you look at the pyramids or the mud brick pyramids that were built during what they call the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, mud bricks were used by the Hebrews, aka the Israelites that was inside the land of Egypt. This is why Josephus states that the Israelites built pyramids. You understand? So the other thing to let it be noted and point out concerning that is that there are so much references when you look at what they call the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, of the people that was called the Asiatics. It's kind of hard to not understand what's going on. Now, there's a record that they found in the 1800s which they refer to as the Imperial Papyrus, I-P-U-W-E-R. The Imperial Papyrus speaks in reference about blood is throughout the land, the firstborn is buried in the ground, death is not lacking, flies is all over the animals, and the Asiatic slaves have escaped, which they refer to in layman terms in English as the Bedouin servants have escaped. So those are a couple of different references, Brooklyn Papyrus, the Imperial Papyrus, that speak about them having slaves and the slaves escape from the Egyptian point of view. So when they say we don't see, we have to ask who is we that's looking and where you looking.
Now, that's beautiful, brother. Now, I want the family to show the family your hands real quick. Yeah, that was off the top of the head, family. That was not no notes, no notebook, no nothing. I told y'all, brothers, this brother's a historian. And that's just real facts, man. Real facts, man. So, anything else you want to drop on the family real quick before we end the interview? Because I know we can go on and on. We're definitely going to interview you again and ask a lot of historical questions because the family has a lot of questions out there. So, is there anything else that you want to talk about real quick before we end the interview?
There's no people on earth who was transported against their will to another place that does not bear the name of their ancestors like us. The land of Israel is vacant of its true inhabitants, and we are landless over here in the Western Hemisphere. My point in mentioning that is the fact that our people over here in the Western Hemisphere, to a great extent, the so-called Hispanics, the so-called West Indians, the so-called African Americans, are the true people of the true house of Israel that scattered. When you do the history, from when the time when you have, real quick if I can go there, from Tiglath-Pileser III, then you had his successor, the guy was named Shalmaneser, then you had Sargon, then you had Sennacherib, and all these different kings actually spoke about going against Ephraim, going against Naphtali. Even when you go into the record of King Mesha, he speaks about the tribe of Gad in verbatim. You understand? And how they took them out of their land and placed them in another land. So you got the Assyrians that came up, then you had Babylon that defeated Assyria under the era of Nebuchadnezzar in the year 612 BCE. Then Nebuchadnezzar came into Judah. So then after Babylon fell, Medo-Persia came up. So after the Medes and the Persians came up, they sent a remnant of people back into the land. Look up Bagos, B-A-G-A-O-S, and you will see about the Jews in Elephantine Island, which is in southern Egypt. You see? So now, once that began to happen, Israel began, when you look at Babylon and Timbuktu, by Rudolf Windsor, Hebrewism of West Africa by a white man. For those who care to need the European man's validation, he's a Caucasian who wrote that book, Hebrewisms of West Africa. Okay, so after the people were scattered off during the Medo-Persian Empire, then you had the Greeks who came up under Alexander. Then Alexander, my 2 cents, he got clapped off, bodied, if you want to use the layman terms, murdered by Cassanus. So then after that, you had the Ptolemies and the Seleucids that was vying for power. But by this time, you already had Israelite colonies in Tunisia. This is why it's generally taught that Hannibal was from the tribe of Asher. You understand? Which is the 8th of the 12 tribes. You understand? So the Bible in the book of Zechariah, which is talking about the 5th century BCE, chapter 7, it said that Israel was scattered from their land and they laid the pleasant land desolate. So who came in that land after Israel was scattered? Good old Esau, the Edomites, the Idumeans. They the ones who came in the land after the children of Israel was out. You understand what I'm saying? And this is what Ezekiel, the Hebrew Israelite prophet, gets into when you go to Ezekiel chapter 35 and Ezekiel 36, where it says the land of Israel was taken up in the lips of talkers. That's these other nations that came together to make a compact because the true Israelite was not in his land, so it was left for occupants all over. So it says that the land of Israel was left for Edom and the residue of the nations. This is how you got the Nabateans in here. This is how you got the Palestinians, which is the remnant of the Philistines and the Ptolemies mixed together that's in our land now. So we are not in our land, and we are pining away in our iniquities. All that history, only thing that needs to be the highlight is our people need to return back to the laws, the statutes, and the commandments of the Most High. And that's what a lot of people don't want to do. Because they can say things like, yeah, you can validate all our history. But when the Most High speaks about in Ezekiel about getting yourself a new heart, that's the issue that a lot of people don't want to sit there and have to change their own character. You'd rather sit there, no offense, not to harp on them, talk about Kemet, Nefertiri, and Hopset's temple, because you ain't got to be responsible for setting up the Levitical order in the future. All you got to do is say, see, all I got to do is look to what somebody else did. Whereas the Most High in Deuteronomy 30 speaks about you getting yourself corrected. And that's character at that particular point. So Israel's going to come back home. The Vatican's not going to stop it. Ashokwazi, you're not going to stop it. You understand what I'm saying? Some of your best scholars were Israelites themselves who decided to not want to follow Israel for whatever reason. Too much responsibility, or they're like the camp. Sinetta, you ain't going to stop Israel.
That's right.
It's going to be what it is. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what it is. You may have one Israelite that want to deflect off, but the Most High said only a remnant. You ain't going. Y'all don't want everyone, so we can't accept everyone either. So with that, I'll say shalom.
All right, man. Kashub the historian, y'all. Now y'all see his moniker. He has that moniker for a reason. He making me step my history game up. I thought I knew some history till I met this brother, man. I got to go back and I got to reevaluate that whole thing, man. All right, shalom, King.